F-Class Products here. We're going to talk about our new inline seating die in 308 Win. So we're going to kind of go over how this works, but I'm also going to talk about a new feature we've added. So this is a die we bought as a blank a long time ago. We didn't make it. Another manufacturer makes it. One problem with dies, and it's not a problem until it becomes a problem, but what happens is the seating stem can fall out. I've handed guys dies before to use, and they literally grab them. This falls out, hits the ground, dents the seating stem portion where it contacts the bullet and messes them up. It's happened to me before, so when I travel, I have to wrap these with tape to make it work. So what we've done now is made a limit system where this cannot come out. You can see that ground pin in there, so that keeps it retained. So no matter what you do, travel, whatever, that's never going to come out. Another feature about our die that I like is you guys have probably done in the past. Sometimes this screw or this screw will loosen up slightly and you don't know it, and you're seating 200-300 pieces before a national event, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, my seating depth is off. And it always seems to go shorter. And why that is because there's only one screw. When you only have one screw, that screw pushes on that circular thread. Well, it doesn't take out the motion this way, so over time it just ends up working out. So all of our dies feature a screw 90 degrees from each other to keep that tightened up. Another feature with our dies, this is a standard VLD seating stem you can get from other manufacturers. Notice where that contacts the ogive of that bullet. This is our seating stem. Notice where that contacts the ogive of the bullet. Line both the back of those bullets up. There's almost a 1/4 inch difference from where it contacts the bullet. Well, what that does is makes it to where the ogive of that bullet, where it touches your lance, is really close to the same point at the seating stem, so that your jump will always be exactly the same where it jumps to the lance. This bullet here, with this system, it has a lot of distance here, and this ogive can change shape and change dimension, where you will not get, let's say you're 3 thousandths off, you will not get consistently 3 thousandths off your lance because you're not at the ogive of that bullet where it's going to touch the lance. Something else about our stems. So if you take, this is actually a brand new stem, never used. That's 30975 on a 308 bullet. That's almost 2 thousandths over bullet diameter. Here's our stem. That's 1 thousandths over bullet diameter. Okay. What that does is gives you more, and the bore that this slides in your die, you want that bullet to be guided as precision as possible into the neck of that case. Well, if you have increased clearance where the stem is, that means you have increased clearance where the bullet rides in that die, and it can install it crooked. Okay, that's why we inline seat, to keep everything as coaxial to each other as possible. So we've talked about the limit. We're going to talk about, we have in past videos, we're just going to give a refresher, our zero stop system. So how this works is once we find the lance of a round, of a chamber with that specific bullet, we set our height at 0, but this is exactly 50 thousandths shim. Okay, so that's 2 revolutions, because our dies are 25 thousandths of revolution. You notice what other dies are? They're 50 thousandths of revolution. So this die also, as you know, there's no click. It's just freewheeling until you tighten the one screw. Ours, if you listen, has a click. So if you watch this, click adjust die. So that's lined up there. That's 1/1000th. Every half a thousandth, there's a click. Okay. So that's something else that's unique to ours. But let's say you're shooting, you're doing a depth test and you're all over the place. You're like, hey, I don't know where 0 is anymore. Sure, you could put a Sharpie and count lines or whatever on these. But this, if you take this and you bring that back, pull that out, you're back to your 0, and that's touch. And we make the lines go, you want 5/1000 jump, you put that on 5. Okay, so 10/1000 jump, you put that on 10. Okay. Another thing about how we manufacture our dies, this is a go gauge for 308. We give them between 3 and 4 thousandths below that face. That way, for guys, you'll never have a case that's hanging out unless you're just so far off on your headspace of what you're reloading that it's not going to work. Like this is a fired piece of brass, and it's fired in another chamber, obviously. And this is a new piece of brass. Comes in. We have minimal clearance to keep everything in line. Guys get too carried away with, hey, I want this round to just fall out, super loose. Well, then everything's not being held concentric, and you're defeating the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish there. So we still have a groove, an extractor groove if need be. Okay, and we make all these components we make ourselves. So we include the Allen wrenches for this 0 stop system. You move that wherever you want. We include the Allen wrench for these, and these are not just regular set screws. These are nylon tipped, so it will not mar up your thread. I've never had one of these systems come loose that uses the 90-degree screws. We include an Allen wrench for our custom seating stem. So as you can see, there's a lot of different changes. Oh, and another thing I want to talk about, like other manufacturers that have had click adjust dies in the past, what happens when you undo this? Springs and balls literally fly everywhere, and you're trying to look all over the floor to find them. Ours are all captive. See that? Nothing's going to come out. You also notice, hey, there's 2. Why is there 2? Well, once again, opposing forces to take the clearance out in both directions, just like the set screws. You can see that is a 40 pitch thread. These are all CNC done in our shop, done with chamber reamers in the CNC lathes. So as you can see here, we have our limit system where you're never going to be, having this fall out, ding up, whatever else. This also, as you can see, I don't know if you can see in the video, it's undercut. It's never going to drag, create frictions for you guys that are measuring force. So, yep, there it is. We now have 308 of the, I call them CAD dies, which means click adjust die. So I just call them a CAD die, or just CAD. And yeah, so that's how our system works. We'll get these on the website here shortly, but wanted to kind of show you the differences between normal dies that you buy and all the features of our click adjust die. One thing I will talk about is people say, hey, my bullet sticks with your stem. Why is that? Well, the reason is we are driving off of the ogive surface, which is mated to the angle of the ogive of the bullet. In fact, see if I can mark that bullet up and show you. See how wide of an area that is and perfect fit for that bullet. When you have 2 tapers or spheres that fit tight together, it's going to want to stick, but it's not sticking, deforming the bullet, it's using that datum to drive the overall length of that loaded round. They're like, well, my other one doesn't stick. Well, yeah, look where it's driving at. Nowhere near the ogive, and it's never going to produce, good results. So that's why you'll get some that stick, pop it out, pop it up. It's not a big deal.